blinking smoke! It's not a joke! It's not a joke!
And no escapes. Causing death.
Nobody's safe! The plane! It's gonna blow up! It's gonna blow up!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another review in the week of Final Destination movies, and we are on Final Destination 5, and I'm very grateful they put the numbering back in the title. Just makes it a lot more simple, and after the crumbling disaster of the previous installment, Final Destination 5 is not that bad. Yeah, sure, it's the same old shit, but we're at least doing better than we did last time. This movie has a new director to the franchise, Stephen Quayle, and I'm not sure of any of the other films he's done before. I haven't seen any other than this movie, but I do have to say that I think this movie is filmed pretty well. I don't necessarily have any complaints with any of the camera movements or the cinematography or anything. It looks pretty good. It's not as absurdly in-your-face 3D as the last movie was, and I think the step up in the CGI department is massively increased. I think the CGI in this movie looks really good, especially the opening kill sequence. There are a few moments where, the kill is very quick, where somebody gets squished in classic Final Destination fashion, and there's just like a blood spray that's all CGI that's like, I would have rather seen something practical. But I think when it comes to the CGI in this movie, it looks way better than the last movie did. In this movie, our group of main characters are all co-workers, some that work in an office, some that work more in the factory, but they're all going on this retreat together inside of a bus, and they're going over this gigantic bridge that is having construction. So this is a little bit adjacent from Final Destination 2, where we're still dealing with some kind of major car accident, but in this case, they're on the middle of a bridge that begins to collapse and break apart, making everybody fall into the river below. And there's also tons of other random things that happen in the devastation, where an oil truck spills hot oil on one of the characters before he falls. Another girl falls off the bridge and just somehow conveniently lands on a flagpole coming off of a boat. People are getting cut in half left and right. It's crazy. It's larger than life. It's elaborate. But you know what? It's done pretty well. It's not necessarily as intense or scary as the highway scene from Final Destination 2, but like I said, I think the CGI is actually pretty good. This movie came out in 2011, and it seems up to par with movies that came out around that time, and the process of the characters trying to get across this bridge, there's a point where the only thing connecting the two pieces of the bridge is just this one steel beam that they have to balance across. Honestly, I gotta say that I think it was done pretty well. The unfortunate thing is when it comes to the characters of the movie, once again, kind of like the last movie, I don't care about any of these people. They're pretty stock, they're pretty throwaway. They do a much better job in this movie trying to get you to care about them. Like, you do see the setup before they travel across the bridge. You get this whole story with the main character and his love interest, and another character that kind of goes off the rails a little bit later in the movie that I'll talk about. So they do really, really try to give you a lot more characterization with the cast of this movie, and I appreciated that. It's just unfortunate that it kind of falls on deaf ears. Most particularly the lead character, Sam. I just think he's kind of terrible. I just don't sense any emotion off of him whatsoever. All of his reactions to the visions that he has, or other intense things that are supposed to be happening in the movie, he just sort of has this look the entire movie. I don't know how to describe it, but he has the same shocked face look the whole movie, and it never changes. His expression is always the same, regardless of how big or small the intensity is supposed to be at the same time. He's just like that's his whole face the whole movie. And as the lead character of the film that has to carry it, I just don't feel like he's got it. He's not Devon Sawa. He's definitely not Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Like, he just does not have the same kind of gravitas as the other main characters of the Final Destination movies. Maybe he's on par with the main character of the last movie, since I barely remember him either, but oh man, this guy just is not it, man. But yes, we are once again revisiting the same scenario. He has the vision of the bridge collapsing in the beginning, manages to save a group of people, and then of course death is coming for them one by one, once again killing them off in the order in which they were killed in the vision. It's the same thing again. But they do implement something here that's a little bit different that they haven't tried before. So in the second movie, they tried to introduce the idea that if a new life is born that was never meant to exist, that could sort of cancel out Death's plan as far as like the characters that were supposed to die. But the unfortunate thing about part 2 is that the woman that was pregnant was never going to die in the first place, so that didn't matter. In this movie, there is another idea that is presented that if one of the people that was meant to die kills somebody else, basically replacing their death with a brand new death, that could cancel it out. And that actually creates a really interesting twist because it brings up the moral question of like, would you kill somebody that, you know, is essentially innocent or was never meant to die to just save your own life? Like, do you have it in you? And does the fear, does the anxiety, does the panic of the fact that death is coming for you force you into a place where you would be willing to kill another person, like a life for a life, sort of like a trade-off? That is a really cool, interesting twist that is only presented in this movie so far. I don't know if it's going to be in Bloodlines or not, but I would like to see them take this a little bit further and see how far they could push this idea if they ever decided to bring it back up. There are, of course, a number of elaborate kill sequences in this movie. There is the gymnastic girl where, you know, a screw falls on the gymnast board that she keeps avoiding a little bit. And then there's also a wire that is, of course, exposed to water that is coming towards it, which I'm sure is something that happens in like every single one of these movies. But there is one kill scene in this movie that gets me almost more than any other kill scene in the entire Final Destination franchise, and that is when one of the characters goes to get LASIK eye surgery. Now, I have terrible vision. I wear contact lenses. I have since I was like 13 years old. I wear glasses around the house, and what I realize is that if I was ever stranded on a desert island and I didn't have contacts, I'd be dead in like less than a day because I literally wouldn't be able to see shit. There's even a moment in the opening kill scene where she loses her glasses and she's on the collapsing bridge. You see her POV, everything's blurry. And I think about shit like that. Like, I don't know why. That's just where my mind goes. I'm like, you know, if I was ever in that situation and I didn't have contacts, I'm just screwed. So, you know, I always thought that if I ever came into some money, like LASIK eye surgery would be one of the first things that I would do. And she goes to get this done, and there's this extended sequence of them like clockwork oranging her eyes open, and there's like this long lingering shot above her of the doctor putting the clamps in her eyes, which is already like makes you cringe just in itself. But then, of course, the laser eye machine goes haywire and starts beaming lasers into her eye, burning, cutting her eye open. And you're just like, dear God. And especially if something that I want to try to get done someday, if I ever can. This scene in this movie makes me not want to do it. Spectacular scene. Again, one of the best deaths in the entirety of the franchise. And that's not even the thing that kills her. She does manage to get up, but then she slips out the window. Fantastic. Now, I also have to make a note that Tony Todd, who plays the mortician that is featured in Final Destination 1 and 2, is actually not in Final Destination 3 and 4. His voice is in 3 because he voices the animatronic of a devil that's at the amusement park in the beginning, but his character is not in it. So he comes back in this movie, and it's so strange that he's so associated with this franchise and that there was 2 whole movies that he never showed up in. But he's the one that brings up the idea that if somebody was killed that wasn't supposed to, it would cancel out the original event and potentially save their lives. So he actually gives them that idea, and he has 2 scenes in this movie, one earlier on at the funeral where he kind of says that, you know, you can't escape death, and then another one later on where he mentions this idea. So he has a couple of scenes in this movie, a little bit more than before. It's nice to see him back, and I am excited to see him in Bloodlines coming up soon. And this does lead to what I think is the most interesting thing about this movie, other than the final scene, is that one of the characters decides that he is going to try to do this. There's a girl named Molly that the main character is in love with, and in the original scenario, she actually does make it out alive. So she is somebody that was never meant to die. And the entire finale of the movie is this character with the gun coming to kill her. So this makes it so that the final sequence of the movie, you actually have a legitimate killer. It's not just death at hand. It's somebody trying to take this scenario into his own hands and kill this girl, like building himself up to do it to save his own life. You know, fearful for his own life, he decides that he's going to take this action. And like I said, I think that's a really cool, unique thing to do. I mean, after 5 movies of the same scenarios over and over and over again, it's cool to see something different implemented here. And it makes the final act, instead of just characters trying to get to a certain location in time so that something doesn't happen, now they're having to avoid an actual killer in their midst and fight against him. But of course, the ultimate twist of this movie is the final scene. So throughout the entire film, you don't really notice. Now, this was 2011, so by this point, people did have smartphones and things of that nature, and nobody uses any of those in this movie. And the more you think about it, is that the technology of this movie really is sort of in like the early 2000s, even though it came out in 2011. Now, again, you don't really notice this watching the movie, because really this is only set 11 years prior than when the movie came out. So it's like, you know, unless you're looking for specific little minute details, you probably wouldn't notice. On top of that, throughout the entire course of the movie, there's a subplot about the main character taking up this apprenticeship in Paris to be a chef. So he's going to go to Paris, right? And then in the finale of the movie, him and his girlfriend are getting on a plane to go to Paris. And you know what other plane was going to go to Paris? The plane in the beginning of the original Final Destination, Flight 180. They are on the plane and they hear this commotion and they look over and they literally show you scenes from the first Final Destination movie of Devon Sawa's character freaking out, like, we got to get off the plane, we got to get off the plane, and them carrying them out. And our 2 main characters that we've been following the whole film are like, well, that was weird. So yeah, without even knowing it, this film is essentially a prequel to the Final Destination franchise. This movie takes place before the first movie, leading into it. Very fun final sequence, and in the final scene of the movie, we get to see the plane explode from a different perspective, leading everything full circle. And since this was the last Final Destination movie since, you know, it's been like, what, 11, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 14 years. That makes sense for this to be the final movie. It's like we bring everything together. So that was the end for some time. Also, this movie has an end credit sequence that shows a montage of all the other Final Destination movies. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, this was the final film. They are making a new one now, Bloodline, which I will be checking out this week and reviewing tomorrow for you guys. So excited to see how that will fit into the timeline, if it does, but we'll take it from there. As far as this movie is concerned, Final Destination 5, I don't think it's terrible. I don't really like a lot of the characters, particularly the main character, but I like the implication of the idea of one of the survivors killing somebody to kind of swap out the deaths. I like how it connects to the original at the very end. Very fun, very cool twist. And I think a lot of the kill sequences are pretty decent, especially that LASIK eye surgery one. God damn, that one gets me. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about Final Destination 5 down below. Where does it rank in the other ones for you? I think after Bloodlines, I'll be able to do a full official ranking for you guys and give you my favorite to least favorite in the series. But until then, thank you guys for watching this video. Leave a like and comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, and all the social media links where you can follow me down below. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you next time.